Yo, what's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty. Join me on Patreon to get the complete version, the link is in the description. Konoha. Talent critical strike opening with Indra's Bloodline. 1 in. Chapter 1 Indra Bloodline, this opens your eyes. Konoha. Talent critical strike opening with Indra's Bloodline. 1/234th. Chapter 1 Indra Bloodline, this opens your eyes. Next. God level talent analysis system starts. Detecting host's ability talent. Detected that host has talent. Sharingan Bloodline. Critical attack is being increased. The increase is completed. Congratulations to the host Indra Bloodline. My mind was confused for a while. Chang Ye responded quickly. After 7 years in the world of Hokage, cheat has finally arrived. You know, the world of Hokage is a world of bloodlines. Without a strong enough talent or bloodline it would be difficult to even become a Jonin, let alone become a powerhouse at the Five Shadows level. And although he transmigrated into Uchiha, his talent was not outstanding. Even if he practiced diligently every day, his grades in the ninja school were only above average. According to his knowledge of the plot, his fellow Uchiha Itachi may be graduating early in the near future. Without enough strength, how to deal with the future genocide crisis? Furthermore, they've all gone through. Who doesn't want to stand on the top and overlook the scenery of the ninja world? Immediately open the system panel. Host. Uchiha Chang Ye. Age. 7 years old. Comprehensive strength. Genin weak. Sharingan pupil strength. LV1 and 0/50ths. Amount of chakra. LV1 and 15/50ths. Chakra attribute. Fire. Talent. Sharingan. Ninjutsu. 3 body technique. Sharingan. Your pupil strength will grow naturally with time and exercise without the defects of Mangekyō Sharingan. Remarks. Every time the overall strength of the host increases by 1 stage, the system will analyze a new talent. Quote exclamation mark quote. Hit the jackpot. Chang Ye's breathing even became a little short. His heart was beating wildly in his chest and an uncontrollable excitement swept through his body. Who is Indra? The eldest son of the Sage of Six Paths, the ancestor of the Uchiha family, the source of the Sharingan bloodline. According to legend, only the Sharingan of the Sangou Jade can open the full body Susanoo. According to the description of the system, his ordinary Sharingan bloodline has now been increased to the level of his ancestor Indra. As for the defects of the Mangekyō Sharingan mentioned by the system, it is naturally the problem of blindness and the need to transplant the brother's eyes to the advanced Eternal Eye. His parents died early in this life and he was basically raised by the parents of the next door Uchiha Izumi. Where can the brother of Mangekyō give him a pair of eyes? But, after the power of blood is increased to the level of Indra, this problem will naturally disappear. After his Sharingan reaches the level of Sangou, although his form will not change, his pupil power will continue to grow to the level of Mangekyō and Eternal Mangekyō. No flaws, no bottlenecks. Just like Indra, the ancestor of Uchiha, in the form of the 3-tomo Sharingan, he has the pupil power of the Eternal Mangekyō. Come to think of it, Mangekyō Sharingan should be the product of the lack of blood power of the Uchiha family. Because the power of the bloodline is insufficient, the 3-tomo Sharingan can only be mutated through violent emotional fluctuations, thereby increasing the pupil power. But this mutation comes at a cost, a way to overdraw future potential. Chang Ye calmed down and experienced the changes brought about by Indra's bloodline. First, the most obvious is the increase in the amount of chakra. According to his estimation, his current amount of chakra is 3 times as much as before. Although Indra did not inherit the sage body, she is a genius after all. Even if the amount of chakra is not as good as Ashura, it will not be less. Second, physical quality, reaction speed, insight, understanding of ninjutsu, everything has changed from the inside out. Although it doesn't look like anything from the outside, but Chang Ye can feel the almost reborn change in himself. He threw out 4 shurikens at will and a crisp metal clash sounded in the air. The 4 shurikens collided and changed direction, hitting the trees in the courtyard with a few thuds. It worked. A look of joy appeared on Chang Ye's face. I have never been able to master before Uchiha Shuriken. Throw multiple shuriken at the same time, let them collide with each other in the air and attack the target from multiple angles and directions. I originally thought that I could only do it after opening my eyes, but in fact, as long as I have enough talent, can I do it without opening my eyes? According to the time of the original work, Uchiha Itachi killed his clan at the age of 13. I am the same age as him, that is to say there are still 6 years before the extermination of the clan. Chang Ye pondered in his heart and felt a sense of urgency. At the age of 13, facing the crisis of genocide, Uchiha Sasuke, the reincarnation of Indra Chakra, just defected at the age of 13 and started the Sangou Jade. The system gave him talent, but his strength still needs to be cultivated by himself. First of all, you must graduate from the ninja school as soon as possible, and with the guidance of John and the team can quickly improve your strength. Otherwise it would be like Sasuke, who became a genin at the age of 12 and only a great fireball with ninjutsu. 3 body technique, he has been a master before. With Indra's talent, the 3 body technique is even more of a problem. However, if you want to graduate early at the age of 7, you still need to show enough strength. And there is another reason to want to graduate early. He's already had enough of learning the will of fire every day. I am a florist, and even if I do, why should I believe in your will of fire? Konoha is clearly a large-scale semi-autonomous military organization, and ninjas are clearly committed to killing people. In addition to this, there is a course on the history of Konoha which is almost entirely devoted to the glorious exploits of 3rd Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen. What to say, under the leadership of 3rd Hokage, Konoha gradually developed to the peak. For someone like him who knows the plot, he's going to laugh to death. That is someone like Uchiha Itachi who takes the course of will of fire the most seriously. In Chang Ye's opinion, Uchiha Itachi is a typical example of thinking without learning. Even though he didn't learn anything and didn't understand anything, he started thinking about the village and Uchiha, and this thinking was based on the premise of being brainwashed by Sarutobi Hiruzen. Isn't that harmful? No wonder he was able to kill his parents and wipe out the entire clan. What a dutiful son. Chang Ye's feelings of disgust surged in his heart and he couldn't help but complain. Suddenly, a cold chakra flooded into his eyes. As soon as his heart moved, Chang Ye immediately went to look in the mirror. In the mirror, the black pupils turned scarlet and a comma-like jet black jade appeared in each of the eyes. Chapter 2: The Feeling of Genius. Konoha. Talent critical strike opening with Indra's Bloodline. 234. Chapter 2: The Feeling of Genius. This just opened your eyes. He just had a little mood swing just now, right? Chang Ye couldn't help but stun secretly as expected of Indra's blood. Sharingan is the eye that portrays the soul. Not just turning on Mangekyō, but every stage of Sharingan's turn on and upgrade requires emotional stimulation. In the original book, Uchiha Itachi Genin's teammates were killed by Uchiha Obito in order to protect him. When he was 8 years old, he opened a hook. Uchiha Sasuke because the big brother killed his parents and opened a hook. Uchiha Obito opened his eyes also because Kakashi was injured to protect him and directly opened the double hook jade. And what about him, Chang Ye? Because he hated Uchiha Itachi, he made a rant which opened his eyes. What a terrifying bloodline strength this is. As long as the power of the blood is strong enough, when the pupil power reaches the critical point, it only needs simple emotional stimulation to advance. Chang Ye verified his conjecture about Mangekyō. Sure enough, Mangekyō's sudden change in pupil power is an evil way. Just waiting for Chang Ye to learn about Sharingan's abilities. In the yard of the neighbor's house next door, a petite figure climbed up the ladder and stuck his head out on the wall. Chang Ye, the rice is ready. It is his neighbor, the childhood sweetheart who grew up together, Uchiha Izumi. When his parents were still around, the two families had always been on good terms. After his parents died, Quan's parents were basically taking care of him. On the night of 9 Tails a year ago, he had foresighted the Quan family to escape. Since then, Quan's parents have raised him almost exclusively as their own child. Turn off Sharingan, take a deep breath and calm down. However, Chang Ye found that he couldn't calm down at all. It's like having an interesting game in front of you and your parents calling you to do chores. The mood has been excited and high, almost impatient, so that when I eat I can't calm down. I was beaten on the head several times by Quan's mother and it was barely restrained. After eating, I couldn't wait to pull Quan to the yard to practice. Uchiha Izumi's grades at the ninja school were even better than his. He is especially good at physique, and Chang Ye has never been a rival for physique training between the two. Even occasionally punches and feet are blind and they are accidentally beaten. On Quan's side, he prepared a set of healing items in a leisurely manner, iced towels, bandages, bruises and so on. Then he tied his long black hair into a single ponytail and tied it behind his head. His normally soft and gentle appearance was now a little more dashing. I'll try my best not to hit you, Quan said softly. No need today, no need from now on. Chang Ye twitched the corner of his mouth and said, it's a bit embarrassing to let a girl of the same age say something like this. The two quickly fought each other. When he really started to move, Chang Ye deeply realized the changes that had taken place in him. The strength and speed of the body have been greatly improved. The insight is greatly enhanced. Even if Sharingan is not turned on, it can quickly see the other party's movements and the brain can quickly judge and respond sensitively. Is this what genius feels like? Every move requires little thought and can be handled with ease. The subtle sound of fist wind resounded in his ears. Without needing to look with his eyes, Chang Ye reacted directly, ducking slightly to one side of his body, grabbing Quan's arm at the same time pressing it behind her and holding it against her back. Uchiha Quan was restrained before he could react, and a dull and surprised look appeared on the pretty face. Chang Ye, when did he become so strong? Coincidence or something else? Recalling that he heard Chang Ye say that she didn't need to release water before, Quan couldn't help blinking his eyes and became serious. However, after a few more rounds of fighting, Quan found himself losing more and more quickly. From his own moves being easily resolved to gradually being unable to keep up with Chang Ye's rhythm and even being subdued in 3 or 2 strokes. Stop for a moment, stop for a while, take a rest first. In the end, Izumi couldn't take it anymore and was the first to stop. Chang Ye, how did you become so powerful? Quan gasped slightly, looking very curious. What she is best at is physical art. In the past, even if she released a little water, Chang Ye was no match. Now the situation is completely reversed. Recalling Chang Ye's unconcealed excitement during his meal, Quan asked tentatively, could it be that you opened your eyes? But during the training just now, Chang Ye's eyes didn't change. That's right. The corners of Chang Ye's mouth twitched slightly, his eyes chakra converged and the Sharingan pattern of a hook jade appeared. Amazing, Izumi exclaimed from the bottom of his heart. At the age of 7 to 8 years old, not many people in the entire Uchiha family can do it right. In her perception, Uchiha Itachi, who has been number 1 in all aspects since entering school, has not opened her eyes yet. It feels, after opening my eyes, the whole world has become different. Chang Ye looked around in the yard and said, the texture of trees, the swaying of leaves in the wind and the flapping movements of mosquitoes are all visible and are automatically captured, analyzed and transmitted to the brain by Sharingan. If we talk about the insight of ordinary eyes, we need to actively observe the information and transmit it to the brain. Then Sharingan's insight is to automatically observe and analyze and directly transmit the results to the brain. Even if it's just a Guyu Sharingan, the improvement of insight ability is completely different. Sharingan is worthy of being one of the most well-known bloodline boundaries in the ninja world. Hokage ninja, also known as the Legend of the Eyes of the Five Village Fighting, is really right. After a short rest, Quan was pulled up by Chang Ye to practice again. None of the previous battles had Sharingan turned on. Now is the first time to experience the power of Sharingan in battle. In Sharingan's insight, Chang Ye felt that Quan's moves were slowed down and turned into slow motion. Of course, this is just an illusion. This is just an illusion that the brain has more time to deal with Sharingan's improved insight. He easily pushed aside the punch from Quan and punched him in the opposite direction. Seeing that his fist was getting closer and closer to Quan's eye socket and the other party hadn't responded yet, Chang Ye felt bad for a while. Oops. However, the brain didn't have time to react, but the fist couldn't stop and a punch hit Uchiha Izumi's left eye. What? A crisp cry of pain. Chapter 3. Who was a serious ninja? Konoha. Talent critical strike opening with Indra's bloodline. 3/234. Chapter 3. Who was a serious ninja? I was wrong. I was wrong. I'll treat you to 3 color balls later. Chang Ye apologized while putting the ice towel that he had prepared earlier on Quan. Quan hummed in dissatisfaction, but his heart was depressed for a while. It was clearly prepared for Chang Ye before, but it was used on himself in the end. Is the improvement after turning on Sharingan so great? Just now, mainly because I haven't adapted to the improvement in insight after opening my eyes. My brain can react but my body can't, Chang Ye explained while thinking. It's a bit like what happened to the original commander when he was beaten by Shaoli. And to solve this is also very simple, just get used to it gradually in the battle. In order to graduate early, you need to adapt to your current strength as soon as possible. After that, I still need to trouble Quan to practice with myself on a daily basis. Thinking like this, Chang Ye said his request to Quan. Why do you always think about improving your strength? Izumi asked curiously. Chang Ye usually pulls her to practice when she has time, and her daily practice is also very serious and hard. It seems to be very eager for strength. If I don't get stronger, how can I protect you and Uncle Ant? Chang Ye said firmly in his eyes. In the original book, Uchiha Izumi is the only female friend that Uchiha Itachi has a good relationship with. But even so, he died on the night of the genocide. Now has its own mess. At that time, Obito will not need to take action on the night of the genocide. The one who took the dutiful son directly went down with 3 swords and killed the Quan family. Quan didn't know what Chang Ye was thinking. His face turned slightly red and he hummed softly. I don't need your protection. I will try my best to protect my parents. But recalling what happened on the previous Nine Tails night, Izumi felt a little scared in his heart. Fortunately, Chang Ye took her family away from home that night, and Nine Tails happened to be near a shelter when they appeared in the village. When she returned home the next day, she found that her home had been crushed by the boulders that Nine Tails knocked away. If it weren't for Chang Ye, there might be someone missing from her family now. I plan to get familiar with the strength improvement after opening my eyes as soon as possible and then apply for an early graduation. After thinking about it in his heart, Chang Ye said. Quan was stunned for a moment, then said reluctantly, why? Even if you want to improve your strength, you don't need to be so anxious, right? She was still thinking about spending 6 years at the ninja school with Chang Ye. Chang Ye didn't say anything about the night of the extermination, but instead said, after getting familiar with the strength of the Sharingan, the teachers at the ninja school will have a hard time teaching me anything. Only by graduating as soon as possible and then getting Jonin's guidance can you improve your strength as soon as possible. For example, Uchiha Itachi, whose father was the patriarch, and Uchiha Shisui, who was also a teacher and friend, taught him since childhood. And look at yourself. His parents died early and neither of Izumi's parents were ninjas. Usually there's only a little girl like Izumi. He didn't want to waste 6 years at the ninja school like Uchiha Sasuke did and only became a genin at the age of 12. 12-year-old Uchiha Itachi is about to become an Anbu sub-captain. Alright, Quan didn't ask any more questions. He touched the towel in his eye sockets. His face was grief and anger, and he spoke in a very determined tone. I'll try my best to help you get used to it afterward. However, in terms of ninjutsu, it's not that easy to graduate early, right? Graduating from ninja school, normally ninjutsu only needs master 3 body technique. But if you want to graduate early at the age of 7, there may be higher requirements. Ninjutsu. Chang Ye's heart moved. After getting the talent of Indra, the first haven't had time to try ninjutsu. 3 body technique is a natural one that doesn't need to be tried again. But what about attribute ninjutsu? Such as the Uchiha family's signature fire style Great Fireball technique. Ninjas of the Uchiha family can apply to learn the Great Fireball technique before becoming a genin. That's the advantage of being in a big family. If you were born in a commoner's family, even if you want to learn, there are no ninjutsu resources to learn. But, although he got the scroll of the Great Fireball technique, Chang Ye has not been able to really display the Great Fireball technique. At most it spewed a small flame. But now with the bonus of Indra's bloodline talent, the situation should be different, right? Chang Ye stood up, walked to the middle of the yard, recalled the chakra flow and the seal of the Great Fireball technique with anticipation in his heart, and slowly made the seal in his hand. Si Wei Shen Hai Wu Yin. Fire style Great Fireball technique. Boom. The fiery chakra surged up the throat and spewed out, forming a huge fireball. It worked. The light of the fire reflected on his face. Chang Ye was excited, but he felt that something was wrong. Use it. Uchiha Quan's little face was a little surprised, very happy for Chang Ye. Not only was it used, but it looked like it was easy to release ninjutsu. Is the improvement really that big after opening your eyes? Quan Shin Chunin couldn't help but think so. Even if she didn't care much about the improvement of her strength, she was a little envious at this moment. Just wanted to celebrate with Chang Ye, but saw the latter standing in the yard frowning, not knowing what he was thinking. I don't know why Chang Ye felt that the ninjutsu practice just now seemed a bit redundant. By the way, the seal is the seal. Suddenly Chang Ye recalled one thing. The system of ninjutsu seals seems to be created by Indra. In order to make it easier for people to master ninjutsu. In other words, the knot is a means of assisting in chakra control. On the scrolls of the previous great fireball technique, there is not only the way of knotting but also the direction of chakra flowing in various acupoints and meridians. So as long as chakra's control ability is sufficient, there is no need for unnecessary things like knot printing. Thinking of this, Chang Ye immediately started to try and mobilize the chakra in his body again, but there was no knot, and put his fingers together in front of his mouth. Fire-style great fireball technique. With a bang, a fireball that was exactly the same size as before suddenly appeared. Really, as the creator of the Yuyin system, Indra does not need Yuyin to use ninjutsu. And he got Indra's talent naturally, he can do it too. Quote. How did you do it? Quan was completely stunned. I could hardly believe my eyes. Just now Chang Ye used the great fireball technique without making a seal. Serious ninjas and ninjutsu are not sealed. Chang Ye said seriously. From today he can also be regarded as a serious ninja. Chapter 4 Actual Combat Assessment Strength Improvement. Konoha. Talent Critical Strike Opening with Indra's Bloodline. 4234. Chapter 4 Actual Combat Assessment Strength Improvement. Time flies and more than a month has passed in a flash. During this period of time Chang Ye took Quan to practice almost every day, and every time he tossed the little girl to the point where she couldn't stop complaining. At the same time, the master of Sharingan insight is also rapidly improving. From the initial incoordination of the brain and the body to the ability to easily predict your own movements. Up to now it basically only takes 3 or 2 moves to restrain Izumi without injury. Such an improvement made Chang Ye feel a burst of emotion in his heart. The words of the past are indeed true. Genius is 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration, but that 1% inspiration is often more important than 99% perspiration. It's also completely right to replace inspiration in this sentence with talent. He used to practice more seriously than Quan, but he was no match for Quan. Now with Indra's talent the situation is completely reversed. Also, in the past month or so Chang Ye's comprehensive strength has also increased from Genin weak when he first got Indra's bloodline to Genin strong. It won't take long to think about it, and the comprehensive strength will reach the level of Chunin. At that time the system can continue to analyze other talents. Thinking of this, Chang Ye is full of expectations for the future. But, with the improvement of strength, the effect of training against Izumi is also declining. How can you improve by practicing with an opponent that you can subdue with 3 or 2 moves? Well, Quan can't satisfy him now and needs him to go outside to find someone else. Referring to lead Jonin, everyone gathered on the practice ground, and today we will have a practical assessment. In the ninja school, teacher Tamura from Chang Ye's class said, it was done once last semester and everyone should remember that in the actual combat assessment all means such as ninjutsu, taijutsu, illusion, ninjutsu, poison, etc. are allowed. The results of the actual combat assessment will account for a considerable proportion of your grades in the academic year. I hope everyone will take it seriously. At ninja school there will be an actual combat assessment every semester. Students are allowed to use all kinds of dangerous means and several Chunin teachers will be watching to prevent accidents. Here we go again. It's annoying, it's an actual combat assessment again. Anyway, the first place must be Itachi, what else is there to compare? A group of 7 or 8-year-olds were making a fuss. In the actual combat test last semester Uchiha Itachi won the first place with absolute strength. And the last one who played against Uchiha Itachi, who was the second in the actual combat test, couldn't hold up a few moves at all and was easily defeated. Chang Ye was thinking in his heart as he walked towards the practice ground. Not sure how his current strength compares to Uchiha Itachi. When it comes to talent he is not false now. But the other party has Uchiha Shisui, a genius daily guide. He is also not very clear about Uchiha Itachi's strength at this time. In the actual combat test last semester the second place was not able to force out Uchiha Itachi's true strength. What's more, it was already last semester. The examination begins. Soon it was Chang Ye's turn. Uchiha Chang Ye vs 4x. Tamura-sensei shouted. A person whose name is not impressive may not have appeared in the original work. It took no effort at all and easily dropped the opponent in seconds. The strength has improved a lot. Tamura-sensei said with approval. In his impression Chang Ye usually practiced very hard but his grades were not the best. This time he was able to deal with his opponent in an almost instant kill. It can be seen that the strength has improved a lot recently. The other side, under the shade of the trees around the practice field, Uchiha Itachi watched everything on the field with a bored expression. Going up from time to compete, and basically it is easy to solve the opponent. How boring. In the clan the arrogant clansmen complained about the village every day, and in the school it was a boring ninja game of a group of childish students. Rather than wasting time here I might as well practice with Shisui. Sure enough, it's better to use Shadow Clone to go to school as usual. Today, because of the actual combat assessment, although he looked down on the strength of his companions in the same period, he did not care too much, so he chose the main body to come over. Looking around, Uchiha Itachi set his eyes on Chang Ye. Uchiha Chang Ye, recalling the name Itachi, felt no ups and downs. Although they are both members of the Uchiha clan, in his heart they are no different from others. The two have nothing to do with each other. The other party usually hangs out with a little girl of the same family named Uchiha Izumi. As for strength, well, I don't have an impression. To be precise, he didn't care much about the strength of everyone in the class. There wasn't even a single person who could interest him a little. It's so boring. With another sigh in his heart, Uchiha Itachi raised his hand to cover the sunlight shining through the pores of the green leaves. If it is easy to get the first place this time, should I apply for an early graduation? On the field, Inuzuka Hana vs Uchiha Chang Ye. A little girl with oil paint on her face walked to the stage. It's a pity that you have met me now. It seems that your test results will not be very good this time. Inuzuka Hana said confidently. She has good grades in all aspects and is at the top of her class. Chang Ye's usual grades are only at the upper middle level. This is something that can be achieved through daily hard work. It can be seen that the talent of the other party can only be said to be mediocre. Chang Ye walked to the stage without saying a word. Inuzuka Flower. It seems that I have some impressions. The sister of Inuzuka Tooth of the 12 Little Strong. Forget it, not an important person. After simply forming a seal of opposition, Hana Inuzuka lowered her head slightly and charged forward with a great momentum. A claw grabbed towards the front of the opponent, but suddenly a flower appeared in front of him. The figure in front of him disappeared and he was pushed on the back and his body staggered forward, almost falling. So fast. Tamura-sensei's eyes lit up. Inuzuka Hana's speed was already very fast, but Chang Ye's speed was even faster, easily dodging behind the former. I thought Chang Ye's strength had improved a lot before, and he was right. However, soon Tamura-sensei found that he was still conservative. I only saw that Inuzuka Hana, who couldn't make a single blow, was serious, but she was not Chang Ye's opponent at all. On the premise that the latter could only defend and not attack, she was quickly defeated. The winner, Uchiha Chang Ye. Seeing that Inuzuka Hana gave up her resistance in despair, Tamura-sensei simply announced. Among the students below there was a little commotion. Many people were a little surprised to see Chang Ye, whose grades were not particularly outstanding, counterattack the top students, who were at the top of the class. The battle continued quickly. Before long there were only 2 people left. The last game, Uchiha Itachi against Uchiha Chang Ye. Chapter 5, Battle against Uchiha Itachi. Konoha. Talent critical strike opening with Indra's Bloodline. 5234. Chapter 5, Battle against Uchiha Itachi. The second place is actually Chang Ye. Chang Ye, his strength has increased so much. Sure enough, Itachi is still the first, there really is no surprise. The first and second are from the Uchiha clan, which is really enviable. There was a murmur among the students watching the battle. For the first place basically everyone has no dispute. Since Uchiha Itachi won the first place with absolute strength in the actual combat assessment last semester, the status of this year's chief student has not been controversial. What everyone is curious about is who can compete for the second place and how far they can compete with Itachi. Only, no matter how they guessed, they didn't expect that the one who survived to the last battle was not the top performers in the class but Uchiha Chang Ye, who was not particularly conspicuous on weekdays. Seeing the discussions of the students, Mr. Tamura showed a satisfied smile on his face. I told you a long time ago that only hard work will never fail you. As long as you practice seriously like Chang Ye, your strength will definitely improve. However, the students didn't care. Even though Chang Ye's strength has improved a lot, he can't be Itachi's opponent. I wonder how long Chang Ye can hold it in Itachi. 3 minutes, or 5 minutes. You look down on Chang Ye too much, don't you? He was defeated by Itachi in less than 2 minutes in the second place last semester. I bet Chang Ye will be defeated by Itachi in 1 minute. Ignoring the discussions of his colleagues at the same time, Chang Ye quietly walked to the stage. Along with Uchiha Itachi's coming to the stage, a bunch of little fans below gave out bursts of cheers and cheers. On the other hand, look at Chang Ye's side. Besides Izumi, there are only some boys who usually don't like Itachi to cheer him on. Your strength seems to have improved very quickly recently, Uchiha Itachi said. Regarding Chang Ye's achievements, he still heard the comments from others. Quote, It's all thanks to you. Chang Ye's expression was a little weird and he said something that Uchiha Itachi didn't understand. If it weren't for knowing that you, a dutiful son, would exterminate the clan in the future, would he be so anxious to improve his strength? On the night of the genocide, if he is not strong enough, he and Izumi as well as Izumi's parents will be slashed with a knife, and then Obito or Danzo will poach Sharingan. With a serious expression of opposition, the battle soon began. The figures of the two quickly disappeared in place, then collided and quickly separated. For a while the arena was full of the sound of fists colliding. Tamura-sensei next to him, his expression changed from dull at first to serious and then dignified again. The high-speed physical battle on the field has lasted for more than 5 minutes, but the two have no intention of stopping. It turns out that Uchiha Itachi is so strong if he fights seriously. And also, Chang Ye. Tamura-sensei recalled his previous judgment and couldn't help but be speechless. How much has this child's strength improved recently? If it wasn't for the black pupils in Chang Ye's eyes, he would almost think that Chang Ye's strength increased because he opened the Sharingan of the Uchiha family. In all fairness, Tamura-sensei thought to himself that although he was a chunin, if faced with the physical attack of either of the two at the moment, he could only rely on his physical strength, and strength as an adult to deal with it. These two children, They're only 7-year-old students who have just entered the ninja school for a year. Monsters, really monsters. Seeing the flame group fan emblem on the two's clothes, Tamura-sensei once again sighed that he was indeed the Uchiha clan. On the field, the two people who continued to fight with high-speed physical skills, at this moment their figures retreated. Uchiha Itachi gasped violently. At this moment he was completely serious and his heart was dignified. The strength of the opponent can actually be comparable to him. Fortunately the main body came. If it was Shadow Clone, I am afraid that it would have already been blown up by the other party, right? Looking towards the opposite side, Uchiha Itachi's eyes suddenly narrowed. Opposite Chang Ye, although he was panting, his panting was much lighter than his. I read that right. How could Chang Ye fight Itachi for so long? Both of them move so fast my eyes can't keep up. Damn, only one Itachi was enough, but now there is another Chang Ye who can compete with Itachi. I'm afraid it's not evenly matched. You see, it's clearly that Itachi's panting is more intense. A group of students was suddenly startled and hurriedly looked towards the two of them. Sure enough, I saw the two people who were also breathing for a while, but Chang Ye was in a better state. How is this possible? Chang Ye's strength is still higher than Itachi. A group of people looked at each other, unable to believe the conclusion. I thought that Chang Ye's ability to counterattack to the second place in the class was enough to surprise them, but they didn't expect that Chang Ye could achieve this level. On the field, Uchiha Itachi barely calmed down and said seriously, "You're good. In terms of physique alone, if it weren't for me having more combat experience, I would have already lost." Having said that, Itachi was even more solemn in his heart. His own combat experience comes from the guidance of the patriarch's father and from the daily teaching of the genius Shisui. And the other party does not have these resources. Under this premise, the other party can actually cultivate physical skills to this level. But Uchiha Itachi didn't feel much frustration in his heart. Everyone will be good at something and he doesn't need to be number one in everything. According to the strength characteristics of the opponent, analyze the most suitable fighting method, which is also a kind of strength. The strength he holds is not only physical skills. After calming down, he took out several shuriken and threw them out in random directions. The shuriken in the air collided with each other, making a crisp sound accompanied by the exclamations of the surrounding students. The direction changed rapidly, attacking Chang Ye in the middle from all directions. Tamura-sensei's eyes moved, and while he was surprised, he was immediately ready to go on the field to save people. However, the next moment he saw that Chang Ye also threw several shuriken, controlled the direction in the same way, and shot down the shuriken in the air. Tamura-sensei was stunned. In this way of throwing shuriken, these two children are both masters. This is something that even teacher Chunin like him can't do. Chapter 6 Muji Fire Style when apply for early graduation. Konoha. Talent critical strike opening with Indra's Bloodline. 6/234. Chapter 6 Muji Fire Style when apply for early graduation. On Uchiha Itachi's side, seeing his shuriken being shot down, he was a little surprised, but he didn't think much of it. Taking advantage of the gap between Chang Ye's shuriken, he ran over and quickly formed a seal in his hand. Siwei Shen Hai Wu Yin. Taking a deep breath, his chest bulged. Fire Style Great Fireball Technique. The fireball with a diameter of 3 or 4 meters completely blocked the vision between the two and attacked in the direction of Chang Ye. There should be no way to avoid this distance. Uchiha Itachi thought to himself. The opponent's taijutsu and shuriken jutsu are not inferior to him. Even if he can rely on his master ninjutsu to win in the end, for him this game is considered a loss. I decided in my heart that after this battle I would go to Shisui for special training. Tamura-sensei next to him didn't have time to be surprised by Master Itachi's attribute ninjutsu. Just as he was about to rescue Chang Ye, he saw that Chang Ye's left index finger and middle finger were close together, standing in front of his mouth, and there was no knot in his hand at all. Directly spit out a huge great fireball. In terms of size, also on top of Uchiha Itachi's great fireball. Almost at the moment when the Uchiha Itachi seal was completed, Chang Ye displayed the great fireball technique at the same time. Uchiha Itachi, who was thinking about whether to apply for an early graduation first or train with Shisui for a while, stared blankly at his fireball being dispersed, and then another fireball came from the opposite side with the remaining power towards him. Call over. Boom. The scorching flames scorched the skin, and Tamura-sensei next to him changed direction in an emergency, barely saving Uchiha Itachi from the fireball. The medical ninja, who had been prepared for a long time, quickly stepped forward to treat Itachi's burned skin. The winner, Uchiha Chang Ye. Tamura-sensei announced with shock on his face. Actually, it was Chang Ye who won. Both of them have mastered fire-style ninjutsu. Damn it. Is there such a big gap between us? We are obviously the same age. Did you see that when Chang Ye released his ninjutsu just now, it seemed that there was no seal? How is that possible? You read it wrong. How can it be possible to use ninjutsu without the need for a seal? The battle was going on too fast, plus most of the eyes were on Uchiha Itachi, and there was a cover of flames. Many people were not sure whether there was a knot when Chang Ye performed ninjutsu just now. But Tamura-sensei, as well as the other Chunin-sensei around, could see clearly. This kid who didn't have a knot just now used the same great fireball technique as Uchiha Itachi, even stronger. On Uchiha Itachi's side, he was being treated by a medical ninja, but his face was dazed. Lost. He actually lost. Taijutsu, shuriken jutsu, ninjutsu. He has already used most of his master's methods, but he still lost. Looking back on my previous interactivities, I felt a little ridiculous, and at the same time my heart was a little tingling. Looking up at Chang Ye, the other party seemed to be looking at him as well. I don't know if it was an illusion. Itachi felt that he seemed to see an emotion called disappointment in the eyes of the other party. In an instant Uchiha Itachi's heart stung deeper and he couldn't help clenching his fists, but he was reprimanded by the medical ninja beside him. Chang Ye took his eyes away from Uchiha Itachi, and seeing that the other party was not in a good state at the moment, he didn't put on the seal of reconciliation but reached out and touched his eye socket. Win without Sharingan. He also has his own pride in his heart. Since Uchiha Itachi hasn't opened his eyes yet, he doesn't need Sharingan in battle. However, since he won in this way, then there really isn't much to learn at the ninja school. Tamura-sensei, I want to apply for early graduation. Chang Ye said calmly. Yes, but I can't control this kind of thing. I need to report it to Lord Hokage. Tamura-sensei was not too surprised by this. The strength that the opponent had shown before was already at the level of genin. If the other party continues to stay in the ninja school, he has nothing to teach. Not only Chang Ye, although Uchiha Itachi lost in his opinion, he also has the ability to apply for early graduation. Woo, Tamura-sensei let out a long sigh. This year I really have two geniuses. Hokage building. Third Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen has received 2 applications for early graduation from ninja school. That's right too. Uchiha Itachi also applied to graduate early. After losing to Chang Ye, he instead strengthened his inner thoughts. No more wasting time at ninja school. Doing those boring ninja games doesn't do anything to improve your strength. Uchiha Itachi, the son of Uchiha Fugaku, the head of the Uchiha clan, has been the first in all aspects of the examination since he entered the school with excellent physical skills, excellent shuriken skills, and AC level fire style master. Uchiha Chang Ye, whose parents died in battle, has a good grade in the ninja school, but he has always worked hard in training. In the previous actual combat assessment he showed excellent physical skills and shuriken skills, and he also mastered the Great Fireball technique. Even the Great Fireball technique is used without the seal. Sarutobi Hiruzen stared at one of the applications and muttered to himself. This was confirmed by several Chunin teachers who were present at the time. Muji Fire Style. The Uchiha clan really have 2 geniuses. Sarutobi Hiruzen sighed and flipped through the other 2 documents. Those were 2 exam papers, a previous exam question from the ninja school, and the content was to write out their own understanding of the ninja and the will of fire. The central idea of Uchiha Itachi is that ninjas are people who can endure and carry, and ninjas should carry their own mission for the sake of the village and for the sake of peace. The central idea of Uchiha Chang Ye's answer is that ninjas are people with master power, and this power is used to protect family, partners and friends. In Sarutobi Hiruzen's view, the decision is between the 2. The latter's answer is still a bit narrow, not like the former. Beyond the limitations of himself and his family, and his understanding of the will of fire is not enough. Thinking of this, Sarutobi Hiruzen couldn't help but have a headache. In his opinion, Uchiha Chang Ye had better stay at the ninja school and receive more education on the will of fire. On the contrary, Uchiha Itachi, who lost in the actual test, was allowed to graduate early. But how can there be a reason for the second to graduate and the first to stay in school? After thinking for a moment, Sarutobi Hiruzen had an idea. Go ahead and arrange 2 assessments later. If they pass, they will be allowed to graduate early. Chapter 7 Graduation Assessment. Sarutobi's difficulties. Konoha. Talent critical strike opening with Indra's bloodline. 7/234. Chapter 7 Graduation Assessment. Sarutobi's difficulties. The summer sun shines on the ninja school, making it unbearably hot. But, at this moment, a group of people in the ninja school are in a more restless mood. A group of people with different costumes but basically wearing the family emblem of the Flame Group fan were walking towards the practice ground of the ninja school. Previously they all heard that the first-year students of the 2 ninja schools in their family had applied for early graduation at the same time. There are 2 geniuses in the family, naturally everyone is happy. After hearing that there will be a special graduation assessment today, a group of people came to watch it. Itachi from the patriarch's family. There is another one. Is it named Chang Ye? He is planning to graduate at the age of 7, and 2 geniuses like Shisui. Itachi often trains with Shisui. It's normal to be stronger. It's that kid named Chang Ye. I heard that he defeated Itachi in the actual combat test. For the people of Uchiha, the eldest son of the patriarch's family is naturally familiar. It is even more so that I have heard of the other party's young age, and I have only mastered the Great Fireball technique after watching my father perform it once. As an orphan, Chang Ye doesn't know that much. Little Chang Ye usually practiced very hard. A gentle voice with some unconvincing taste. It was Azumi's mother, Uchiha Hazuki. Because Chang Ye's parents died early, Kwan's parents acted as Chang Ye's guardians. In the middle of the crowd, Uchiha Fugaku, who has no expression on his face all the year round, said. It did beat Itachi. Both of them mastered the Great Fireball technique, and it is said that Chang Ye performed it without a seal. Whoa, there was a sudden uproar in the crowd. Muji Great Fireball. If you play ninjutsu, can you still get rid of the seal? At the moment, Uchiha's ninja tried to release the Great Fireball technique without printing on the spot, but at most a small flame was sprayed out, causing a burst of laughter. This level of fire style cannot be applied in battle at all. Jonin from several police units next to Uchiha Fugaku also spoke up. Speaking of which, I've tried ninjutsu without a seal before, but I couldn't do it at all. Me too. Except for the special ninjutsu of Rasengan from 4th Hokage, I have basically never heard of any ninjutsu that does not have a seal. I don't know how that kid did it, it's amazing. While walking and talking, a group of people quickly arrived at the exercise field. Almost all the students and teachers of the ninja school arrived. Sitting right in front of the practice ground is 3rd Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen. Seeing the arrival of Uchiha Fugaku and others, Sarutobi Hiruzen said hello and congratulated him. And beside Sarutobi Hiruzen, there are two genin standing. One of them was more relaxed while the other was a lot more serious. Sarutobi Aoki's eyes swept across Chang Ye not far away from time to time, recalling what he had previously explained to him from the head of the family and Lord Hokage. In the subsequent assessment he will meet Uchiha Chang Ye, and Sarutobi Hiruzen asked him to take a serious shot, let Chang Ye fail the test and stay at the ninja school to receive a few more years of education on the Will of Fire. With a special task in hand he was reluctantly serious, but also limited. After all, in Sarutobi Aoki's view the opponent is just a 7-year-old child. Even if the talent is better and the strength is stronger, how can it be better? He has already prepared for the strength of the Chunin exam, can he still be unable to deal with a child? What a joke. Even against the real Chunin he has the power to parry. Now it's time to be serious and nervous, but those two little devils who want to graduate in their first year are right. In the shade of two trees, Chang Ye and Itachi closed their eyes to rest, turning a deaf ear to the restlessness beside them waiting for the next battle. It's the students on the other side. Twitter. As if they were graduating early, they were so excited. Damn, these two guys are so cool, I want to be watched by everyone. Even though there are only first graders, yet you want to graduate early. We fourth graders don't even dare to think about such a thing. Are the two of them nervous? Now they are calming down and worry about making mistakes later. Nonsense. Chang Ye and Itachi are so powerful, how could they be nervous? Looking at Chang Ye now, he's so handsome, why didn't you notice it? You usually go to see Itachi Nympho. Chang Ye is mine. Quan, who was also in the crowd, moved his ears, glanced at the crowd with alertness, and his brain was beeping like an antenna. Who was talking about Chang Ye? After seeing a few girls in the same class talking, Quan's little face became a little resentful. Antomaniac. Wall grass. Usually you are all around Itachi, what is Chang Ye doing now, running over and staring at me? After seeing that Chang Ye and Itachi's guardians had arrived, Mr. Tamura came out and announced. Master Hokage has accepted Chang Ye and Itachi's graduation applications, but they still need to pass the assessment. Master Hokage has always taken geniuses seriously, but geniuses also need to be protected from premature death. So Chang Ye, Itachi, you two need to fight against two genin opponents. As long as you survive 10 minutes without defeat, you will pass the test and graduate to become genin. In response, Chang Ye turned his eyes to the two genins who came out from the opposite side. One is a little more relaxed, the other is a little more serious. The latter looks much stronger. I don't know who my opponent will be, but it doesn't matter. Take a look at your system panel. Comprehensive strength. Genin strong. Sharingan pupil strength. LV1 and 35/50ths. Amount of chakra. LV1 and 45/50ths. The LV1 of the chakra amount should correspond to the chakra amount of the genin level. As far as the amount of chakra is concerned, he is already close to Chunin. Coupled with Guyu's Sharingan and Muji Great Fireball, it should be no problem to deal with a genin and only fight for 10 minutes. Chapter 8 Treating differently, he actually opened his eyes. Konoha. Talent critical strike opening with Indra's Bloodline. 8/234. Chapter 8 Treating differently, he actually opened his eyes. Previous. Next. The first to be assessed was Uchiha Itachi. Come on, Itachi. A smile appeared on Uchiha Fugaku's face, encouraging. Sarutobi Hiruzen on the other side also gave Itachi a gentle look. Itachi nodded earnestly. Lord Hokage and his father are watching him. He can't lose this game. The young genin across from him who had just stepped onto the stage couldn't help but be startled. Why does this kid seem to suddenly have a fighting spirit? Shaking his head, he didn't care. After all, he was a genin who graduated 2 years ago, and the other party is just a first-year kid at a ninja school. Even if his talent is good, what can he do? The examination will start soon. Uchiha Itachi's eyes narrowed and he took out a few shuriken in his hand and used the skilled shuriken directly. It's beautiful to play with the shuriken. The astonishing look in the young genin's eyes flashed across and he casually knocked off the shuriken flying towards him with kunai. However, don't underestimate genin. However, when he knocked out the last shuriken, he discovered that there was a small ball tied to it. This is, single quote. Before he had time to think, the small ball exploded with a bang and a burst of purple smoke enveloped him. Seeing that the smoke bomb was successfully used, Uchiha Itachi made a mark in his hand, separated a clone with a bang and rushed directly into the smoke. If that smoke is poisonous, that guy has lost. It's naive to use such a boring trick as the clone technique. No, look carefully, it's a shadow clone with an entity. Suddenly startled, many Uchiha ninjas quickly opened Sharingan, carefully observed and distinguished and confirmed that Itachi separated out a real shadow clone. The clone technique taught by the ninja school has only a shadow but no substance. Anyone with a little combat experience in battle will not be deceived. But shadow clone is an ninjutsu that has an entity and can be used in battle. Just looking at the levels of the two can be seen. One is E class and one is B class. This child Itachi actually learned shadow clone. Did Shisui teach him? It's too messy. Although Uchiha Fugaku said this, he couldn't hide a smile on his face. After all, shadow clone may not be able to master the ninjutsu skills of Chunin, but his 7-year-old son is already a master. How can this not make him happy as a father? Sarutobi Hiruzen looked at the bunch of scarlet eyes on this side and frowned secretly. The power of the Uchiha clan is too strong. Looking at Itachi, who was already pressing down on his opponent, and Chang Ye beside him, he felt even more worried in his heart. Not only is the strength strong but also has excellent descendants. It didn't take long. Tamura-sensei walked into the field and shouted loudly. 10 minutes are up, the battle is over. Uchiha Itachi backed away regretfully. If you give him a little more time he should be able to beat the opponent. On the other hand, the young genin looked aggrieved at the moment. He even needs to be thankful that this assessment has a time limit. Otherwise it would be too embarrassing to be defeated on the spot by a 7-year-old child. Obviously his age, strength and speed are above the opponent and his experience is not bad, but he was directly pressed and beaten by the opponent. He could only barely parry with his stronger strength and combat experience. See the end of the battle. Sarutobi Hiruzen suppressed many thoughts in his heart, got up and with a kind smile on his face personally handed the ninja forehead protector to Uchiha Itachi, who was moved and at a loss. Mr. Tamura congratulated with envy. Itachi, congratulations on becoming a genin. At the age of 7 he graduated early as a first-year ninja school. No need to think about it, Tamura-sensei knew that this matter would spread to Konoha after today. And, what makes him even more envious is that Itachi even mastered Shadow Clone AB level ninjutsu that he couldn't master. In the previous battle between Itachi and Chang Ye they were defeated by Chang Ye's Muji fire style without using Shadow Clone. It was also because Itachi didn't expect Chang Ye's strength. If you go all out from the beginning the outcome may not be known. The next test will start soon. Chang Ye walked up to the stage without saying a word and looked at the ninja opposite who had been more serious before. Now, after seeing the battle just now, Sarutobi Aoki took a more serious attitude. He believes that his strength is higher than that of another person and he can also fight against the other person. But after seeing Itachi's strength he naturally wouldn't underestimate Chang Ye, who could defeat Itachi. Although he didn't think he would be crushed and beaten like the man before. But he still has the task of his own patriarch. It is necessary to solve the other party within 10 minutes so that the other party cannot pass the assessment. I'll say it first, Sarutobi Aoki said with a cold face. I'll make a serious move next, so be mentally prepared. You two may have good talents but you are still too young. The world of ninjas is much more cruel than you think. I advise you to stay in the ninja school for a few more years. Chang Ye held Kuuvu in front of him and looked at each other vigilantly. Sorry, I still choose to graduate early. Only relying on the natural growth of pupil strength over time will not be able to have enough strength to protect himself and the Izumi family on the night of annihilation in the future. With Jonin's guidance I can not only improve my strength faster but also get more talents through the system faster. Cut. The corner of Sarutobi Aoki's mouth twitched and he scolded secretly in his heart, so he rushed forward. Clang. The kunai collided and let out a loud bang. Chang Ye fought hard, his arms trembled slightly and he couldn't help frowning. Your own strength, not the opponent's opponent. The other party's age is twice his own and in terms of physical condition he is still much worse. Uchiha Itachi's battle was also in the past. He was obviously stronger in taijutsu skills and master of ninjutsu, but because of the opponent's physical fitness and combat experience he couldn't defeat the opponent for a long time. Never mind, age is not enough, talent comes together. Thinking like this, Chang Ye tried his best to block the opponent and started to fight with the opponent relying on his physical skills. At the same time his eyes flashed red. This is, not only Sarutobi Aoki who was facing Chang Ye, but the Uchiha ninjas who were watching were suddenly shocked. An idea popped up in their hearts and their eyes turned to Chang Ye's eyes. Scarlet as blood-colored eyes, among them is a hook jade that slowly rotates. The ninjas of Uchiha looked at each other. This kid opened his eyes. How old is he? Chapter 9. Hold on for 10 minutes. Kill directly. Konoha. Talent critical strike opening with Indra's bloodline. 9/234. Chapter 9. Hold on for 10 minutes. Kill directly. It is indeed the Sharingan of Aguyu. Uchiha Fugaku opened his Sharingan, looked at it carefully and said, "Whoa, a time." Not only the ninjas of the Uchiha clan but everyone present was agitated. Eyes opened when I was 7. I just opened my eyes when I was 12. Has anyone in the clan ever opened their eyes so early? I haven't heard of it. Maybe there were before but definitely not many. Looking at his appearance he should have opened his eyes before, but he is only using it now. I saw Itachi's shadow clone before and I thought Itachi lost a bit unfairly. Now it seems that Chang Ye didn't use Sharingan in the previous battle. Uchiha Itachi's complexion was slightly pale. There was a sense of humiliation in my heart. The other party clearly opened his eyes but he didn't need to fight with him before. What does it mean? On the other side of the students a group of children were also whispering. What is a Sharingan? It's the Uchiha clan's blood successor that guy Chang Ye has awakened the Sharingan. So Chang Ye's strength has improved so quickly because of this. Yes, no wonder Chang Ye suddenly became so powerful. Hearing this the adults next to him were suddenly stunned. They also learned about Chang Ye's usual grades before. Although he practiced very hard his grades were only at the upper middle level. If it wasn't for the fact that he suddenly defeated Itachi in the actual combat test, Chang Ye would have always been a little transparent in the Uchiha clan. Now that they heard the words of the children they reacted. No wonder Chang Ye's strength has suddenly increased so much. It was because I opened my eyes. If you say that maybe Itachi is stronger. Yes, Itachi is such a genius before he opens his eyes and his strength will be greatly improved when his eyes are opened in the future. Wait until these two kids open their eyes and have a fight. I don't know how Chang Ye will behave then. On the contrary, some people value Chang Ye more and think that Chang Ye's opening his eyes earlier is also a kind of strength, but more people still think that Itachi, who is a genius without opening his eyes, is more powerful. Hearing these remarks, Uchiha Itachi also had a fire in his heart. There was a sudden desire to open my eyes. Thirst for power. If he also opened his eyes, Chang Ye shouldn't be his opponent, right? That's right. Thinking like this, Itachi strengthened his confidence. When I got back I asked my father and Shisui how to open their eyes. The center of the battlefield. Chang Ye and Sarutobi Aoki were tightly entangled. Fist and foot come and go and the sound of breaking the wind is heard frequently. Sarutobi Aoki felt irritated in his heart. It has been 3 minutes and I still haven't been able to solve the other party and I haven't even caused any damage to the other party. Instead the other party would give him a bite from time to time. Often he punched in the past with a heavy punch but the opponent could subtly avoid it in advance and counterattack himself but he repeatedly failed to respond. Sharingan is too open. Sarutobi Aoki was very angry and cursed inwardly. This is just a hook. Yu Guang glanced at the head of his own clan beside him frowning slightly as if he was a little dissatisfied with his delay in resolving his opponent. Sarutobi Aoki was out of breath for a while, pulled away and quickly formed a seal in his hand. Fire-style flame bomb. However, the flame had just been spit out but he saw a larger fireball on the opposite side already rushing towards him. Damn it, in a hurry I forgot that the other party also mastered fire style and it can also be displayed without printing. Sarutobi Aoki jumped away from the great fireball's attack range and was about to attack again but when he saw Chang Ye on the opposite side he was already ready to move in the direction of his retreat. Send Muji great fireball. Now he was finally unavoidable. Hit the blow head on, coughed violently in a puff of smoke and the arm was burned by the flames with a sharp pain. Just after thinking about it he jumped out of the smoke but saw a few shurikens swish through the smoke and hit him directly. FK. Sarutobi Aoki cursed inwardly. Obviously in the smoke how did the other party determine his position? Raising his painful arm he managed to knock down a few shuriken. He was watching the front but there was a sound of breaking wind behind him. He was kicked on the back and staggered forward. A small palm grabbed his arm, turned it over and pressed it behind him so bitter was on his neck in front of him. You lose. A dull voice came from behind. Quote. Until the smoke clears. Sarutobi Aoki was still stunned motionless. He lost. It's been less than 5 minutes since the battle started. The outcome has been determined and the assessment is over. Tamura-sensei's voice brought his mind back. The pain in the arm was transmitted to the brain again and the body was black and dirty. The medical ninja on the side rushed forward. Sarutobi Aoki looked at Chang Ye, opened his mouth but didn't know what to say. Whoa. The crowd watching around, who had been silent for a long time before, fell into the calm lake like a boulder and exploded at once. Win. Don't you just insist on 10 minutes? Who noticed how much time has passed? It should be less than 5 minutes. 5 minutes. A group of people are speechless. Before Uchiha Itachi's fight they thought it was a good performance. A first-year student at a ninja school, a 7-year-old child, beat a genin who had graduated for 2 years from beginning to end. However, Chang Ye is even more exaggerated. Against a significantly stronger opponent, not only won but also so fast. As soon as they were watching the battle none of them could react. How did you fight just now? Someone spoke in confusion. He only saw that both of them used ninjutsu. Chang Ye used fire style twice and then that genin was in smoke all the time. It wasn't until the smoke cleared just now that he realized the battle was over. How it ended is completely unclear. Uchiha Fugaku considered for a moment and said, there are 2 main reasons for winning so quickly. First, his ninjutsu does not require a seal and can be performed in an instant so he can catch the opponent by surprise. Secondly, he opened Sharingan, which gave him the capital to use physical art to fight. And after using the first great fireball you can also rely on Sharingan to predict the opponent's position and accurately use the second great fireball. As for Shuriken to confirm the opponent's position in the smoke, it also relies on Sharingan's insight. In the end it is to seize this opportunity and win the opponent in one fell swoop. Having said that, Uchiha Fugaku looked appreciative and summed up. Overall a good tactic, although simple, but it gave full play to its own advantages. The others slowly pondered and understood Chang Ye's tactics and nodded in a complicated mood. Tactics are not complicated, but the 2 points that can win Sharingan and Muji ninjutsu, these 2 are the most important. It was originally just a 10-minute test to pass, but I didn't expect this kid to kill the opponent directly. Chapter 10 Graduation Genin, the benefits of being born in the Great Ninja. Konoha. Talent critical strike opening with Indra's bloodline. 10-234. Chapter 10 Graduation Genin, the benefits of being born in the Great Ninja. Sarutobi Hiruzen looked at Chang Ye, whose face was calm and his expression didn't change after the victory, and sighed in his heart. I originally wanted to let the other party study for a few more years at the ninja school to increase their recognition of the will of fire. In Sarutobi Hiruzen's view, from Chang Ye's answers in past exams it can be seen that he is more like most Uchihas. Compared with the village, the family is more important, and Uchiha Itachi on the other hand is more of a Shisui-like person with a wider field of vision and a higher pattern. After all, Uchiha Itachi was taught by Shisui on a daily basis. It's normal to be more like Shisui. For Uchiha like Uchiha Itachi he can allow early graduation, but for Uchihas like Chang Ye I still need to educate them more so that they can be used by him in the village. But it was a good plan, but in the end it failed because of misjudging Chang Ye's strength. Muji ninjutsu plus Sharingan with the physique of a 7-year-old child actually easily defeated an excellent senior genin. Forget it, it doesn't matter. Later the child can be guided by the will of fire in other ways. Later the guide Jonin is assigned and some arrangements can be made on this. Standing up, cleaning up his expression, Sarutobi Hiruzen walked towards Chang Ye with a warm face, stretched out his hand and handed the ninja forehead protector to him, exhorting him in a hopeful tone. Chang Ye endured the discomfort in his heart and responded one by one. Why does he, a transmigrator, believe in the will of fire? What's more, it's you Sarutobi Hiruzen who said that. Can you believe it? After enduring for a long time, Sarutobi Hiruzen stopped talking and left. Immediately afterwards, Izumi Hazuki and Tamura Sensei came to congratulate him on becoming a genin. Oh, I'll be the only one going to school in the future. Quan Shao's face revealed reluctance, but there was still a look of relief. It's because Chang Ye can't go to school with her after becoming genin. The relief is because Chang Ye has finally graduated and there is no need to drag her to practice together every day. Although with Chang Ye's promotion of Sharingan Master he will no longer accidentally hit her. But it's not fun to be easily hanged every time they practice. However, the strength has increased rapidly. In the previous actual combat assessment, Quan's performance has also improved a lot. Boom. Feeling a finger flick on his forehead, he flicked it very hard. Quan covered his forehead with tears in his eyes and glared at Chang Ye, the culprit. Chang Ye didn't care at all and tapped Quan's forehead. Don't think that you will be relieved when I am gone. I will also often make time to train you in the future. Now that both Uchiha Itachi and I have graduated, you must strive to be the first in the same period. I object. Invalid objection. Quan's talent is good and needs to be carefully tuned. At least I have to let Quan have a little strength to protect himself. Hazuki Ant smiled and watched the two children fight. Aside, Uchiha Fugaku came over. While taking out a lot of scrolls, he said, "First of all, congratulations on your graduation as a genin. These are the ninjutsu and illusion techniques that you can apply to learn after becoming a genin. I took them directly before. I thought that even if you failed the assessment it would be given to you directly. Oh, I didn't expect you to not only pass but also so easily." Chang Ye took over the scroll while thanking him and looked at it briefly. Impatience Fire Technique, Impatience Flower Claw, Red Dragon Fire Technique, Dragon Fire Technique. Both are fire-style ninjutsu commonly used by the Uchiha family. Basically, except for the ninjutsu of that level, all of them are here. In addition, it is a pile of illusion scrolls: Fox's Heart Technique, Narukuma Technique, Hanging Technique. There is also a Shadow Clone Technique reel. The students and teachers of the ninja school on the side were full of envy. With emotion in my heart, it is indeed the Uchiha clan. This is the advantage of being born in the great ninja. As long as you have enough talent you will never lack ninjutsu. Before, when Chang Ye was only a student at the ninja school, he could apply for the Great Fireball Technique from the clan. Once you become a genin you will be able to apply for a lot of ninjutsu and illusion. These are the things to learn for the genin period. If you are proficient with these things you can basically have the strength of elite shunin. After becoming shunin the clan will open up all regular ninjutsu. If you want to learn other types of ninjutsu the Uchiha clan also have them. The master wears Sharingan who can copy ninjutsu. The most indispensable thing in the Uchiha family is ninjutsu. Uchiha Fugaku continued. One more thing, the village will arrange for you to guide jonin to guide you in your daily practice. The clan will also arrange a jonin for you to guide you, but most of the jonin in the clan work in the police force and there is no way to provide daily guidance. Saying that, Uchiha Fugaku said to a young man with medium-length hair beside him. Rice Fire, I'll leave it to you. No problem. Uchiha Rice Fire nodded confidently. You can come to me with any cultivation matters in the future as long as I have time here. He has the position of a sub-commander in the police force and it is impossible to conduct day-to-day instruction like jonin. Chang Ye nodded and felt the benefits of being born in the great ninja clan again in his heart and said. In the future please give more advice from Senior Rice Fire. Hokage Building. Sarutobi Hiruzen and Shimura Danzo sit opposite each other. I heard that Uchiha's 2 7-year-olds have graduated early to become genin. Danzo opened his squinted eyes as he spoke. And one of them has even opened his eyes. That's right, Sarutobi Hiruzen said while flipping through the list of jonin in his hand. I don't know how you're going to arrange for them to guide jonin. Danzo tried to see it directly. Sarutobi Hiruzen was also a little worried with a pipe in his mouth. The 2 children who graduated early at the age of 7 were still in the ninja school at the same time and could only be in the same class as the older ones. Also, there are not enough people to guide jonin. What's more, both of them are Uchiha. They need to be guided by the will of fire. In this case it is important to guide jonin's choices. It has to be a jonin who has a village in his heart and believes in the will of fire. Uchiha Itachi, you can join Jonin Mizuki's class, there is just one person missing. As for Uchiha Chang Ye, or send a guide jonin from the root organization. Danzo said. Sarutobi glanced at Danzo and said indifferently. As long as the Uchiha family agrees you can try. Do you have any idea about Shimura Danzo's reputation in the Uchiha clan? If Uchiha Chang Ye's mentor jonin is the one at the root, Uchiha's people will never do it. Danzo also knows this and he just said it casually before. But, although it is impossible to dispatch jonin to guide him, it does not prevent him from making contact with the other party at the right time. If it can attract the other party to join the root to work for him, the Uchiha family will have nothing to say. He could feel that Uchiha Chang Ye and Uchiha Itachi, despite their different personalities, both share a desire for power. This desire will produce darkness and it also has the potential to join the root organization. Which guidance jonin are you planning to arrange for Uchiha Chang Ye? Danzo asked curiously. Sarutobi Hiruzen struggled for a long time and handed over a ninja profile. Seeing a figure in a green tights above the portrait, Danzo couldn't help twitching the corners of his mouth. This guy is someone the root organization would not want. Chapter 11 Young Guy. Konoha. Talent Critical Strike opening with Indra's Bloodline. 11/234. Chapter 11 Young Guy. Hello, I'm Might Guy and I'll be your leader jonin from today. Wearing a green tights might guy with a big white fang thumbs up and said with a grin. Chang Ye's expression was sluggish for a moment, but he quickly reacted and greeted. Mr. Guy, please give me more advice in the future. I didn't expect his mentor Jonin to be Might Guy, a man who was honored as King Guy in his previous life. The person who finally succeeded in tearing a hole in the iron curtain of the bloodline theory in the Hokage world through hard work day after day. But, Chang Ye looked at the person in front of him. The current Might Guy, only 16 years old, has just become a Jonin. It is still far from the strength to open the 8 inner gates formation during the 4th Ninja World War. Cough. Although I'm not very old, I still have some experience in physical skills. It's totally fine to give you pointers on physical skills. Seeing Chang Ye's gaze, Might Guy seemed to feel questioned and said with some lack of confidence. On the one hand, it is because he is indeed a little young and it is not long before he becomes a Jonin. On the other hand, he is only good at taijutsu and there is basically no ninjutsu and illusion that he can do well. I didn't question Mr. Guy's strength. Chang Ye said seriously. I once heard of Mr. Guy's father's record. With the power of a genin, he blocked Miss Shinobi's 7 ninja swords and lost 4 of them in the first battle. I think Mr. Guy's strength will definitely not be bad. Well, it's so touching. Might Guy seemed to have tears in his eyes because of the rare approval and he wanted to hug Chang Ye and cry on the spot. Quote. Chang Ye, hesitant to speak, stopped talking and wanting. Might Guy is very powerful and admirable, but this character is really unbearable for ordinary people. In general, Chang Ye is still very satisfied with Might Guy as his guide to Jonin. In terms of strength, the opponent normally has the strength of Jonin and can open 8 inner gates in a critical situation. The sense of security when going out to perform tasks is greatly improved. In terms of guiding himself, he didn't say anything about the other party's physical skills. It is enough to be seen by Uchiha Madara that there is no one who has played against taijutsu better than you. As for ninjutsu and illusion, with Indra's talent, self-study is enough. On the contrary, the improvement of physical skills requires the guidance of people with sufficient strength and experience. In Chang Ye's heart, the importance of taijutsu is no less than ninjutsu and illusion, and may even be higher to some extent. In the world of Hokage, in genin to jonin to cage level battles, ninjutsu taijutsu illusions are useful. In super shadow level battles, illusions don't have much effect, and ninjutsu and taijutsu are still useful. In the battle at the 6 paths level, the effect of ninjutsu has also been greatly weakened, but taijutsu is still useful. First, set a small stage goal. The physical strength is to be able to dance twice in front of Uchiha Madara. Looking around, seeing that no one else came over, Chang Ye had some doubts in his heart. Mr. Guy, don't we have any other members in our team? Oh, this Hokage-sama told me before that because you graduated early, it is difficult to find teammates who can form a team. Might Guy struggled to recall and said, the one who graduated early with you is called Uchiha or something. Forget he just added to a 2-person team and that team just lost a player earlier. Come to you because I really can't find a team that can jump in, so you were the only one in the team. Hearing the name, Uchiha, Chang Ye couldn't help but twitch at the corner of his mouth. I don't know how Uchiha Itachi will feel after listening to it. He didn't care too much about having no teammates. 2 genin strength teammates are optional for him. But, how do you feel that this team is a bit strange? A team that just became Jonin, a squad with only 1 player. Chang Ye didn't know. It's true that Sarutobi Hiruzen can't find a team to get in, but it's not a Might Guy to guide Jonin. However, to choose a Jonin who can guide Chang Ye with the will of fire, there are not many candidates. Ultimately, Sarutobi Hiruzen chose Might Guy. Back here, now that both sides have recognized each other, it is natural to learn from each other and understand each other. Chang Ye was eager to try it. I don't know what the real Jonin's strength will be. Knowing that there must be a huge gap between himself and Jonin, Chang Ye started Sharingan from the very beginning. On the opposite side, Might Guy lowered his eyes slightly, staring at the following movements of Chang Ye's head. Although I don't have Sharingan, I also have a wealth of experience fighting with Sharingan, and I have a good understanding of Sharingan's abilities and fighting style. Seeing Chang Ye on the opposite side punch him, Might Guy did not take advantage of his strength to directly follow, but dodged. So fast. Single quote. With a secret thought in his heart, Chang Ye was prepared to change the direction of his fist and hit the place he predicted earlier. However, what Might Guy did was a fake. I jumped to another direction, stretched out his hand and pushed Chang Ye lightly. Quote, exclamation mark, quote. Startled in my heart, my body rushed forward a few steps uncontrollably, barely stopping. Was the prediction wrong? Sharingan will predict the opponent's movements by observing the movement of the opponent's muscles, and I can use this to deceive Sharingan's insight and make your prediction wrong. Might Guy grinned and explained to Chang Ye. This is the valuable experience he has accumulated against Kakashi over the years. I'll teach you how to distinguish your opponent's fake moves later and what to do if you fail to predict. These are the experiences Kakashi has accumulated against him. In addition to their daily battles, the two also improved each other in this way. I see, thank you Mr. Guy, Chang Ye said with a smile on the corner of his mouth. With Might Guy as a guide for Jonin along with Kakashi's experience with Sharingan. Buy one get one free, earn blood. Chapter 12, Chunin's strength. Might Guy's physical talent. Konoha. Talent critical strike opening with Indra's bloodline. 12/234. Chapter 12, Chunin's strength. Might Guy's physical talent. However, the next half a month, Chang Ye's whole person is about to die. Without him, Might Guy's first time as a guide to Jonin of course has nothing to hide. He even intends to teach his own hand 8 inner gates. But, mastering 8 inner gates requires extreme physical fitness as well as years of exercise. Gradually increase the strength of the body through exercise in order to adapt to the strength after opening the 8th gate. Take Might Guy himself. He's physically fit at best with 6th gate now. If you try to open the 7th gate you may have to die on the spot. In order to teach Chang Ye 8 inner gates, Might Guy first gave Chang Ye some adaptive training.